Way to be with JandC. Episode 5? Question mark?
Yeah, 5.
Episode 5. Welcome to it.
What's up, man?
Oh, same old, just living up that quarantine life.
Yeah, I know you've been on an Elon Musk binge lately.
Just this morning, I woke up in a weird mood, so I was just looking through YouTube to distract myself from things.
This morning counts as lately.
It's like super lately. What was I saying? I woke up this morning in a weird mood, so I was looking through YouTube to distract myself from stuff, and I saw that Elon Musk did another podcast with Joe Rogan, so obviously I watched it, and it was awesome. Elon Musk is a super weird guy, but I like the way he thinks a lot.
He is an odd duck. Like he's a little off. Like when you listen to him.
Yeah. It's like, but there's something just a hair off. He's like half a bubble. Half a bubble off plum, But he was talking about all kinds of stuff. He just had a baby during quarantine on like April 4th, I think, or May 4th. Today's May 4th.
Today is May the 7th.
Wow. All right. Yeah. There are no days anymore. But anyways, he's catching a lot of flack from naming his kid. It's X, that little AE symbol. That's where it's like the A and the E smushed together. And then A-12. And the A-12, he was talking about it, came from the Archangel program that the CIA was running, which gave us the SR-71 Blackbird. That was his contribution to the name. But yeah, like the mom named the kid X, and then that AE thing, which I don't know what that's called. I know it has a name, I just don't know what it is. But apparently, altogether, it spells Kyle. Unconfirmed, but yeah. Let's see. He was doing, or they were talking about when he, what's the word I'm looking? Unveiled the Cybertruck. Did you see that goofy looking thing? Kind of looks like a warthog from Halo.
Yeah, I watched a video of it playing Tug of War with like an F-150. Mm-hmm. That Cybertruck just pulling that fucking F-150 around. And then they did it with like a Dodge Ram. Yeah. So, yeah, Cybertruck, apparently it's got a lot of torque.
Instant. It's got instant torque. So does the Roadsters and the Sportsters and all that.
But yeah, pulling those other trucks around.
Yeah, just ripping them around. It's big. Like, it's very big. It doesn't look as big as it is because it's so weird looking, but like they put a 4-wheeler in the back. He was talking about the unveiling during the podcast, so yeah. I looked up the unveiling, and one of the things that happened was they were taking these steel balls, like the size of baseballs, and he was showing you how strong the glass was. So he like dropped it in a tube and it landed on a normal piece of glass, and the glass shattered. And he's like, now this is Tesla's armored glass, and he slid it under there and they put it in the tube and it fell and it bounced off. And so he wanted to push it a little further. So he had the guy take that same steel ball and throw it at the window of the truck that they were displaying. And it fucking shattered that window. It didn't go through, which he pointed out a bunch of times. It didn't go through the window, and he's like, well, let's try it on the back window. And he threw it at that, and that one fucking broke. In front of a lot of people. He was like, you live and learn. But before that, they were showing he had that guy hit a regular car door with a sledgehammer to show you like what it would do to the door. And then he had him hit the Cybertruck door with a sledgehammer. But what they think happened when he hit it with the hammer, it cracked the glass at the corner. So when he threw the steel ball at it, the glass shattered.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, he did it in a live setting and was like, oh shit. Like, he didn't think the mic would hear him, but he goes, oh, motherfucker. But it was good. But what are you saying? It was just glass.
Yeah, like I said, it's still glass. So it's not indestructible, Bulletproof glass still cracks and breaks when it gets shot.
Yeah, yeah, and like it still held up well. Like the ball didn't go through the window.
The ball didn't go through it. Like it just hit it and the glass cracked up.
Right, but it was like a 10-pound steel ball. Like it was big.
Yeah,
it's still very impressive. But yeah, that goofy looking truck. I wish he didn't make it look like it did.
Well, he wanted to. That's why he wanted to make it look.
That's true. I'm not a fan of the look. That's all I'm saying.
And they sold a crap ton of them, so.
I don't even know if they're available. Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, well, look at there.
They're available. And he sold quite a bit. I forget the numbers. But I remember seeing a meme about it that had the numbers in it of how many he sold in like the first 2 weeks of it being available. And it was like Elon Musk with everybody saying how stupid the Cybertruck looks. And it was Woody Harrelson from Zombieland crying with the $100 bill.
He wipes his tears. Hundreds. Wow. Well, they hit 250,000 pre-orders before the truck was released.
Oh, yeah. See?
Tesla's booked orders for around 535,000 of the funky new electric truck. That's almost 6,000 a day. That's so crazy, though. I mean, it's a good vehicle. Like, they were talking about it on that podcast. They were talking about his Roadsters, and it goes 0 to 60 in 1.9.
Yeah.
That's
fast.
Quick. That is instant torque. But apparently, like, if you drive them like a granny, those electric cars, you'll get maybe like 300, 350 miles out of one single charge.
Yeah.
But if you drive them regularly, then they're only good for like 200. So, and usually, like in a gas vehicle, you get around 400 miles out of a tank. And he's trying to compete with that, and it's getting better all the time. You know, as battery technology improves.
Yeah.
I mean, the cars will get better. Oh, but I'm excited. Like, I really want a Tesla. I do. I want one so bad. They have all these cool little features. They look good.
I'm going to have to save up a lot of money to get you a Tesla.
Oh my God, I know. Well, that's what the Series S is for. Like, the common folk that just want to...
The common
folk that can't afford $100,000 things. You know, he's got like a nice $30,000, $40,000 option. The common folk. What would you call the rest of us?
Still, $40,000 is a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, but it's no more than a new car anyways. A new F-150, I think, is like $70,000.
Yeah, I would never buy a new F-150 either. That's way too expensive.
It's not a question of I would never. I couldn't.
You know, my car was like 15,000. That was what it was.
15,000?
Yeah.
That's good, respectable amount for that car. And it's a good car. I mean, that's going to hold value for a while.
Yeah.
How old is that car? It's like 08, isn't it?
It's a 14.
2014?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I gotta like, I was all proud when I bought my Camry because it was like the newest car I'd ever owned.
Yeah.
And it's a 07. And I'm realizing that was like, 10, 15 years ago. But it's the newest vehicle I've
buying
ever
new
had.
cars is for chumps.
Yeah, buying new off the lot, like, that's mostly just a status symbol.
Yeah. Like that car wasn't new when I bought it either. It was a year old.
Oh, well.
Which isn't much.
Yeah, that's
But I was saying
like-
it was still used.
Yeah.
So it was a much better deal. Buying new cars is a bad deal. You should never buy new cars.
No, because they depreciate so quickly. Unless you're planning on not reselling the car. Like, if that's the car you want, you're going to drive it forever, then probably. But give it a year or two.
I'm gonna say, but you could still buy the same car in a year for a much cheaper price.
Yeah. I think that they shouldn't come out with a new model car every year. I think they should wait like three years to come out with a new model.
Yeah, I saw a thing that was like if they waited 3 years in between new car models, like how much pollution it would cut down on.
Yeah.
Because of how much pollution is in just making a car.
And just making them, and then, excuse me.
The pollution made by making cars is more than the pollution made by everyone driving cars.
The pollution that comes out of the factory when they make a car is more than the pollution that car will put out during its lifetime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, well, in America, because we have like super low emission vehicles, except for probably diesel trucks. 'Cause
No,
those-
Even
out
just
much.
regular cars that aren't low emission or electric or hybrids.
Really?
Yeah. It's better to just drive a non-eco car than to buy an eco car.
Because
For the environment, yeah. Because they still produce the same pollution in making the eco car. So you're better off just driving or it's better for the environment for you to just drive a regular car until it craps out and then buy an eco car, your next car. But the worst thing for the environment is just buying a new car before you need a new car.
You know, I heard something similar about electric cars because the mines that they get the lithium
Yeah.
to make the batteries for the electric cars produce more pollution than every electric car or every car in the country if you drove them for a year or something like that.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, that goes back to the same thing. That it's the pollution from making the cars, from the industry required to make them, is causing far more pollution than the cars themselves.
Right. It's like the dump trucks that are hauling materials back and forth from the plant or from the mine to the smelters to the wherever they go to process all of the
Lithium?
I am losing
There you
all
go.
my words, man. It's crazy. Just went really fast. But yeah,
I don't
the
know.
dump trucks.
I don't know
going
what the
down
place
road.
that refines lithium is called.
I don't know. I was thinking like a smelter, like a foundry. You know,
Yeah, but is lithium a metal?
lithium is a metal. It's
Okay,
an alkaline. No, it's number 3 on the elemental list. It's not. I don't know. It is a metal in its raw form, though.
Okay.
But oh, you know, I had something to say. I totally forgot what it was. Doesn't matter.
Well, why'd you do that, man?
Because I mean, you ever forget? It happens to me. But I was watching all kinds of stuff this morning. I say this morning. I woke up at 11 because I didn't go to bed till like 4.
That's this morning.
I know, but it's like not much of that morning. It's 6 o'clock now. I don't know. My time is all backwards from everything. I'm trying to get my sleep schedule back though.
Well, yeah. I mean, I work nights, so my schedule's all completely off.
Yeah, yours is super jacked up. But you did that on
I don't wake
purpose.
up till the afternoon. You know, that's my morning.
Yeah, that's true.
I just ate breakfast before we started this podcast.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you didn't wake up until I was knocking on your door. Man, it's so weird. Like, you remember the world 6 months ago? Like,
Yeah.
what was the biggest issue going on in the world 6 months ago? It was November of last year. So I have no clue.
I don't remember. I'm sure something was going on.
I'm sure some
People are always complaining about something. There's some big issue.
That is true. It's probably something to do with Trump. He's been all over the news, and then 2020 started, and the world started falling apart.
Yep. Australia burns.
World War III was going to be a thing.
Well, not really, ever. There was just some tensions between us and Iran, but there was never going to be World War III over it.
I doubt that we would go to war over that. Although I was talking
To
to...
be fair, we did just straight up assassinate an Iranian general.
Yeah, we did. We did do
Just
that.
straight up.
Yeah. Oh, well. You can't unring some bells, you know? Here we are, 2020, and nobody even remembers that.
Yeah, no one even thinks about that anymore. Maybe that's why the coronavirus is here.
Maybe it's
It was
just
stopping World War III from happening.
it's just a huge media distraction. It's like we
We'll put every country in the world on lockdown so no one can go to war.
What do you do if you're already at war and then everything goes on lockdown? So you're just like,
Imagine there's just a time where you're not fighting.
just like, hey, do you switch to unmanned aerial vehicles to wage war? Because war, I think at its essence, is about taking land or taking economy. And you can't take land without a presence there.
Yeah. What do you mean like taking land? Just like holding land?
Like, yeah, like
Oh,
physically
okay.
holding land, like controlling the land.
Yeah.
You can't govern a country if you don't own the country.
Well, to be fair, in the last couple of wars, we really haven't deployed much in the way of ground forces.
No.
Most of the fighting happens by unmanned aerial vehicles and airstrikes and artillery strikes and stuff.
I don't know about most. Because, I mean, like, troops still go out on patrol, and we've been in a war for the last 20 years.
Troops are there, and they're still out on patrol. Like, there are boots on the ground and stuff, but the majority, like, usually when troops meet an enemy force, they call in an airstrike.
Yeah, usually. Like, those big, long gunfights that you see in movies where, they're just firing back and forth at each other for, 10 or 15 minutes. Like, that doesn't.
Yeah,
it takes about 40 seconds.
Usually
they
take a
artillery.
they take a defensive position.
Yeah.
And they call in an airstrike or an artillery strike on the enemy position.
Yeah, that's the safest way to do it, really.
I mean, that is right? The reason that it is the main way to do it is because it's the best way to do it.
Yeah, right.
I wasn't saying that. I was just saying that that old time of large armies moving out to seize ground.
Right.
It's the Air Force leveling the ground, and then the Army moving in.
And then building their little bobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's modern warfare. It's maximizing effectiveness while minimizing human life loss.
Of your people.
Of your people.
Yeah. Well,
I think of them, too, like, they're not there to extinguish a population of people living there.
Well, yeah. I'm not saying that they are.
But yeah, ideally you'd like to minimize casualties on both sides, but yeah, you're gonna prioritize. That makes sense. Wow, how did we get on war?
You brought it up.
That makes sense. I go on these weird tangents sometimes. I thought we were talking about the Cybertruck.
We were. That's where this all started.
Right? Oh, man. Those little vehicles are so trippy. I really do want an electric car, though. But there's like one recharge station here. I think it's in Boise.
Well, yeah.
And I'm not driving to Boise.
There's not
to
a
charge
ton
my
of
car.
recharge stations. Like, they're in certain areas. Mostly big cities.
Mostly big cities, like Boise.
Like Boise. There's some in Twin Falls, too. I went down there with my parents when they were here last to see, like, the big canyon.
Oh, there's
and
one in
the
Twin Falls?
and stuff, yeah. And there was some, like, supercharging stations there at the
cool.
little, like, visitor center.
I wonder how long it takes to charge your battery. Or if they charge it and then send you on, or if they take the battery out of the car and replace it with a freshly
At those
charged one.
superchargers, they charge fast. No, they don't take the battery out. You plug in to the supercharger. Mm-hmm. But it charges, like, pretty fast. Like, I think it's under an hour to get a full charge on your car.
I can't remember what he was saying. What exactly?
But that's the
said.
supercharger. Like, if you plug into just your regular house, it takes a lot longer.
Oh, okay.
But
that makes sense because your house only puts out 220 amps. Watts, not amps. 10 amp.
But the superchargers charge it really quick. I don't know the exact time, though. I think it is under an hour, but I don't have an electric car, so I never had to know.
Yeah. Well, I think they were trying to make it to where you could charge your car in the time it would take you to, like, fill up your car with gas. Like, that's the goal.
I mean, that's the goal. That's a lot of power, though, to push through really fast.
I know.
That'd be dangerous.
The cord would have to be, like, the width of a human body. Like, it would be huge.
I don't know if it'd have to be that big.
It would have to be pretty damn big. That's a lot of heat.
Yeah,
Copper melts, man.
But yeah, I mean, obviously they want to make it as fast as possible.
Yeah, I get that, but I wonder what the progress is on that. Ooh, something else interesting it was talking about was Neuralink. Have you ever heard about that?
Neuralink?
Yeah.
No.
That's basically just a way to interface with electronics. It's a small implant that you put it into your skull and attach electrodes into your brain. And right now it's not a way to interface with electronics. They're trying to cure brain injuries.
Yeah.
For, like, paraplegics can walk again, or Alzheimer's patients can remember things and stuff like that. That's, like, the first phase. And then he's talking about, like, maybe on, like, version 10 or something, we'll worry about, like, expanding cognitive abilities. Which I thought was pretty cool. Like, that's an interesting direction for the future to take.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's all good.
Yeah, I didn't like. I heard about that guy, or I saw it was like a documentary thing about the guy who has like the chip in his arm that's connected to his nervous system.
Yeah.
And allows him to interface with some electronics.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know about that.
Well, he doesn't have like super good control over it or anything like that. Like he can't just like control a computer with his mind. But
That would be so cool.
they did do a thing where they like hooked him up because he has a little like jack in his arm that he has covered up. And he pull it out and he can like plug into it. And he plugged in a sonar thing into it that he wore it on his head.
Uh-huh.
And then he like navigated a room like in pitch black where he couldn't see using that sonar.
What?
He said like he just knew like there's something right there. Like he didn't know what it was.
Was it like making
But
noises?
he knows that like there's something.
Was he using his ears at all? Was they like clicking, snapping?
No. It was just this thing
That's
that he was wearing.
Crazy.
It was like a little radar thing on his head.
That's so crazy, man. We're heading in an interesting direction, I think, technologically. Because the more and more we go into the future, I think we're gonna have to deal with AI. That's a real thing. We can't beat them, so I say join them.
Become the AI.
Become the AI, or at least form like a symbiotic kind of relationship with an AI interface, you know? I don't know. It's impossible to predict the future.
Not for Nostradamus, it wouldn't.
Not for Nostradamus, or Edgar Casey, or The Simpsons.
The Simpsons are more impressive than both Nostradamus or Edgar Casey.
Dude, I just saw one today. This guy was watching the episode where they like predicted the coronavirus, and it was a crowd of people chanting, you know, "We want a cure, we want a cure," and he's like, you know, there's no cure, you know. The only treatment is like bed rest for whatever ailment was going on in the episode. And he's like, anything I could give you would just be a placebo. And the crowd was like, well, where can we get these placebos? And he's like, maybe there's some in that truck. And they started shaking the truck, and a crate fell out of the back, and it was full of killer bees. It's like, what the fuck is going on? They're time travelers, dude, I swear.
Yeah.
The Simpsons predicted a lot of shit.
Killer hornets, man.
I think they've got like a supercomputer with like some really good algorithm for predicting the future, and they just write the episodes based on what it says.
I think they just had so many freaking episodes that they just did so many things.
I don't know, man. I've seen clips of those episodes and like clips of newsreels, and it is word for word, movement for movement, scene for scene. Like it is exactly the same. It's super weird. I don't know if you believe in that kind of stuff, but shit, anything's possible.
Simpsons predicts the future.
Simpsons predict the future. Let it be known.
Let it be known.
I waste way too much time thinking about that kind of crap. Oh man, that's ridiculous. Ooh, here's a fun one. Let's talk about times that the world almost ended. You were telling me one a while back about the nuclear testing in the desert, and I couldn't remember the story.
Oh, yeah. It was during the Manhattan Project, like when they built the first atomic bomb. Like, no one had ever built one before, obviously. Mm-hmm. So they didn't really know what was going to happen when they detonated it. And a few of the scientists that were on the project, like, they theorized that the explosion would be so hot that it could ignite the atmosphere.
Okay.
And would basically destroy the entire planet.
I would just set fire to the atmosphere.
Like the atmosphere would just catch on fire.
Oh, God.
And the whole world would burn. And they said, like, it's a real possibility. And the military was like, well, let's go ahead and test it.
Yeah, go ahead. Like, it could have ended the world.
Like, yeah, like the people that built it said, I mean, not all of them, but there was a group of them that said, like, this is a real possibility.
Like, it could happen. He's like, I'm going to risk it.
Yeah, basically.
Got to risk it to get the biscuit, man. That's so crazy to think about how close the world was to total annihilation just based on one dude's decision. Well, I'm sure it wasn't one dude's decision, but a committee.
Yeah.
Certainly not a representative portion of our population. It's like, because if they had asked, like, all of America, like, hey, we're going to test this bomb, but it might blow up the whole Earth. But we think it won't.
I mean, I'm sure
I would vote no.
The other scientists were like, that's a very small chance. We don't think that's going to happen. But still, the fact that the scientists that built it said, like, that's a real possibility. And then they decided to test it anyway.
Dude, that's so crazy. I wonder how many times that we've come that close to extinction without even knowing it. That's so trippy. I don't like thinking about that. That's a rabbit hole you don't want to go down, man. Not in my brain. It's crazy in here.
Crazy.
Yeah. And I don't like nukes anyways. I think they're a dumb idea. We should just...
A dumb idea.
Yeah. I get it. Nuclear deterrence, don't attack us because we have a bigger stick.
Yeah.
That whole mentality. I just hate that they exist. I'm really uncomfortable knowing that there's a lot of them and they're out in the world.
Yeah.
I'm just uncomfortable with that information because, like, it could accidentally screw something up for hundreds of years. Granted, I'm sure they take precautions against those kind of things, but I'm sure they took precautions at fucking Chernobyl too, and that shit melted down. Ruined the Earth.
They didn't take a lot of precautions. Did you ever watch Chernobyl?
I watched, like, the first episode or two, and
Really?
it was like...
That was an amazing show.
Really?
I loved that show.
I'll have to finish it then. Like, from what I gathered from the little bit that I watched is they knew the reactor was melting down. Like, all the evidence was pointing, like, yeah, we had a reactor meltdown. And everybody was just trying to be like, nope. Like, all the higher-ups, like, no.
Yeah, but basically the Soviet Union was trying to cover up how bad the disaster was.
Right.
And, yeah, there was also this thing, they didn't think that it was possible for the reactor to explode. It didn't just melt down, it exploded.
There was an actual, like, giant
There was
explosion.
an actual explosion.
Was it?
Like, the whole casing was blown apart.
Oh, okay.
And the core was exposed to the air. And it was just dumping radiation out.
Oof.
Yeah.
That's a...
But there was a thing that a lot of the scientists, like, they said, like, it's just not possible for the reactor to explode. So that's why they didn't...
Why did it explode?
It's been a while since I watched it now. But they do a full breakdown of why it exploded.
Oh, okay.
Because there was one of the scientists that was working on containing the disaster, he ended up in the Russian court system, like, explaining to, like, the high-ups in the Soviet Union exactly why this exploded and all that.
Wow, that's crazy, man. I'll have to finish that show. For real. I don't know why I stopped watching it.
But yeah, it was crazy. Because the people in the Chernobyl town nearby were just, like, watching it because they heard the explosion.
Right.
But there was all this, like this huge light show basically going on at the plant because of the radiation just being spewed out.
Oh my god.
So they were, like, watching it.
Just
on this
standing
bridge,
outside.
Standing outside. There was a bridge that became known as the Bridge of Death. Because a lot of the town was standing on the bridge because it had a good view and they were watching it. And, like, fallout, like, fell down.
And just started killing them.
Well, not instantly, but everyone on the bridge did die.
How long does it take radiation to kill you?
It depends on the dose you get. It can be instant if you get enough radiation hitting you, but most of the time it takes at least days.
That's like a high dose.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think it was like within a couple of weeks, everyone that was on that bridge had died.
Dude, what about all the deer and birds that it landed on and they just flew and ran away?
So the Soviet army like formed a perimeter around Chernobyl and basically killed everything. They killed every animal that they could find.
Oh my gosh.
Because they had all received that dose of radiation. They didn't want them taking it elsewhere in the country. So yeah, the Soviet army was just going around executing every animal they could find in the area.
Wow. Yeah, because no people would survive being that close to the radiation, I guess. So everybody in that town died, like for sure.
Not
right?
everybody in the town died because the town, it wasn't right. Like the reactor wasn't in town; it was outside.
Right,
of town.
it was outside of town, but
people that were outside and stuff watching it, they died because fallout fell on them. But there were some people from Chernobyl that survived.
Man, that's so crazy.
And all the Chernobyl firefighters died though because they all went up to the reactor to fight the fire because it was also burning.
Throwing more radiation into the air. Man. Did you hear about this thing called the elephant's foot?
Yeah, that's the core from the Chernobyl reactor.
That's the core. It's just this melted mass of uranium.
Yeah, because it's melted mass of the casing, which melted, the fuel, all this like sand and stuff that they poured onto it to put out the fire, all just like melted together, and now there's just this huge ball of it sitting under Chernobyl.
Oh my gosh. Isn't it eating its way through the floor or something?
Yeah, it is slowly eating. It's so reactive, it's like eating its way through the floor.
Oh my gosh. The reason I bring it up is because I heard
they can't move it, though.
Well, they can't get close to it.
Yeah, because electronics stop working when they get too close to it because the radiation coming off of it is so strong.
How on earth are we going to deal with that? Because I heard that there was a giant aquifer sitting underneath it.
There is.
That's where they were pulling the water from to cool it down.
I think they're pulling the water from a river or a lake.
Oh. Either way, there's a giant body of water underneath it.
Either way, yeah, there is. And if it hits that water, they say that it'll explode again, basically.
Oh my gosh. That's so crazy.
It'll cause basically a nuclear explosion if it falls into that water.
Wow. How are you going to do it? You can't touch it. You can't even get close to it. You'd have to sacrifice so many people just to move it, to get close, It's like you could go in like full radiation gear and you can still only stand near it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, there's a thing like... So pieces of the reactor core and casing were all over the place. Mm-hmm. And they were like on the roofs of the buildings and stuff. Oh my and they needed to get them off of the roofs. So they were trying to send like robots up there to, push it off into the reactor core. But they couldn't because the radiation was so strong it was breaking the electronics.
Right, yeah.
So they were bringing people in to run up there with like shovels and grab it and chunk it off the roof. But they could only stay out there for 90 seconds and then they had to leave. And they could never go back up again.
Right, because once you get dosed with radiation...
They had to bring in like tens of thousands of people to do this because each one could only go up there for 90 seconds.
Oh my God.
So they could only throw... 2 or 3 pieces off the roof, and then they had to leave.
And then you got all this from that show?
Yeah.
Oh my God! I wonder how accurate the show is.
I think it's pretty accurate, is what I've read on reviews.
Okay. Oh my God! Can you imagine getting that phone call? It's like, hey, we're gonna dose you with as much radiation as we can before it kills you to try and clean up this town. But don't worry, we're also recruiting 10,000 other people. Oh my goodness. I read a story about in Japan, in Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Yeah.
Because it's still radioactive there.
Yeah.
There's places that are still pretty radioactive, but they needed to be cleaned up or picked up or something had to come out of there. I don't know. But they were trying to figure out how to do it. To clean up the radiation so it would quit poisoning the surrounding area so people could start moving back in. But they had like a bunch of elderly people volunteering to go in because it was going to take the radiation like 10 years to kill them. And they were like 70 anyways. So they just volunteered to go in there and clean it up. And then die slowly of radiation poisoning. It's like, man, what a sacrifice. But they were like, yeah, we don't want our kids and grandkids growing up around this radioactive mess. I was like, man, I don't know if I'd make that choice. That's a hard choice to make, man. Like, the right choice is obvious and clear. Like, you want to preserve as much as you can for future generations, but you got to punch your own ticket to do it. That's a big decision.
Well, in 10 years. Like...
Yeah, but you die of radiation poisoning.
Well,
like some kind of
it's probably not
cancer.
radiation poisoning at that time. It's probably like going to be cancer that they get.
Yeah, probably.
Radiation poisoning, however, is fucking awful. Because they go into that in the Chernobyl show, too.
So what happens when radiation poisoning is going on? So you're exposed
Basically, your cells just start to, like, break down and fall apart when you get dosed with a lethal dose of radiation.
Uh-huh. So they just, like, the Thanos snap? You just disintegrate?
Basically, your body is, like, slowly disintegrating.
Are you serious?
Or liquefying, basically. Because your body's, 70% water.
Nasty!
There was one, like, scientist who had to go, like, look over the roof of the building to the reactor to see if it was actually open or not. And they didn't actually show it because it would have been too graphic. But, like, when the reporter that was investigating it was interviewing the guy, or the scientist that was investigating it, they, like, said, like, he just didn't have a face anymore. Like, his face was gone. It had liquefied off of his body.
Oh my gosh. That would be crazy. Why would you look at it?
He didn't want to. They forced him to.
I'd rather be shot.
that was his choice. Like, the guy scientist inside.
Execute me. I'm not melting my face off. What a horrible way to go. Man, I hope we have better containment methods now.
Incredibly good, like, drama series. Definitely would recommend watching Chernobyl.
All right. Well, heard. I'm going to finish it then. I'll probably restart it from episode 1 and just watch it all the way through. Man, that's so crazy. There's a nuclear reactor in Boston, I think, at MIT.
Yeah.
They have, like, a mini reactor there, and it's got something like 10 feet or 12 feet of water separating it from just, like, you can look down through the water and see the reactor. And they said that is enough water to absorb the radiation so that they don't even have to put a lid on it.
Okay.
I mean...
I don't know that much about radiation and the actual physics of it.
Yeah, me either.
To know.
That's nuts.
But I would assume if it's under a college and people aren't dying of radiation poisoning, it's probably working.
Probably pretty safe. But yeah, like, you can look down and look at the core. It's just under, like, 10 feet of water. Granted, the water is insanely hot. But it doesn't turn into steam for some reason. It's just, like, right below the boiling.
Yeah.
I don't think it's pure water. I think they added something to it.
They might.
I don't know.
Well,
but water makes
surely
a really good
they do,
radiation shield.
because the way a reactor power plant works is it's turning the water into steam. Mm-hmm. It's boiling the cooling water, which is then turning turbines and making power.
And then making electricity out of that. It's just the reactor puts off so much heat that it makes the steam so hot. Because once it's steam can be a really high temperature and it's still steam. But the hotter it is, the more energy you get out of it. Nuclear reactors put off a lot of heat. So that makes sense. But I'd have to watch it again to really tell how they did it. But that was the gist of it. Like, my jaw dropped as I was watching this thing on YouTube. I was like, there's a nuclear reactor just right there. It's like 100 feet from the road. It's not even underground.
It's a tiny reactor.
It's a tiny reactor. Yeah, that's something, man. That's super weird. The world we live in is crazy, but people only focus on, maybe a handful of things that are going on in the world real big, like this COVID thing.
Yeah.
And, it's an election year. Usually we'd be flooded with political advertisements right now, but we're not. It's all COVID news.
Yeah, I know. It is going to make the election interesting because, there hasn't been, any coverage or any kind of speeches given.
Or campaigning.
At
no
all.
Debates.
So
it's going to be interesting. Think it'll be more of the same, or we're going to get a change?
I don't know, man. Trump supporters are pretty much all still Trump supporters.
Yeah.
In the media and the mainstream stuff, you hear a lot of hate for Trump, but the people that elected Trump still support him for the most part.
Yeah, even harder, really.
Yeah.
Their support's only gotten stronger.
And incumbents almost always win. Rarely do incumbents lose. So there's a good chance that Trump is going to get reelected. Sure.
I'm inclined to agree with you. I really think that he's going to wind up. I would be surprised if he didn't win the election, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, the DNC has lost a lot of support because of all the shady crap they're doing. Excuse me. And now there's rumors of Joe Biden going senile or something like that.
Oh, yeah, but there's always rumors of stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whenever there's an old politician, that's always what people jump on. They're going senile.
Trump's 73.
Yeah, I know. I think.
But everybody already thinks he's crazy, so.
Yeah. But they did it with that John McCain, too.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Everybody was talking about he's too old.
He's too old. He's going to die in office. You're voting for his vice president.
He's still alive and well. He's still like a senator.
He's still doing good. He's too old. He's still a senator. He's making really big decisions.
Yeah. He's still making big decisions.
That's so crazy, man. People are weird.
People are weird, man.
They don't think things through. I'm guilty of it. I don't think things through all the time. That's why I broke my legs.
I mean, that was more of a surprise, really, than a forethought problem. It just kind of happened one day.
It did, but I don't know. I could have taken better care of my knees, I guess.
I mean, yeah, I guess you could have. But you didn't have insurance at the time, so...
Yeah.
Going to the doctor is expensive without insurance.
Going to the doctor's stupid expensive without insurance. Really, really. A trip to the ER, that's $1,200.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you can't afford insurance, there's a good chance that you can't afford a $1,200 ER visit. Which is why I'm going to go out right now and just put my neck out there. I support universal health care. I think it's a good idea and we should try for it. Maybe all the money that we're using to develop nuclear weapons could be used for that. Now, I'm not an economist or a politician. I'm just some dude.
Just some guy.
Just some guy, but, nukes aren't free, and we don't need them. We've got plenty.
They'll never get rid of nukes.
No, they never will. But they should.
But they never will.
But they never will, and I'm just going to be uncomfortable in general for the rest of my life. Just knowing that there are several buttons connected to several bombs.
I mean, there's one button in the United States.
There's one button?
I don't know.
There's a lot of silos. And there's submarines carrying nukes.
There's
And there's people that hate us with nukes.
What do they call it? The the football? Is that what it's called? The little case that has the codes and everything in it?
Yeah, that change every 2 hours or something?
Yeah, that the president always has near him.
Mm-hmm. They're nuclear launch codes.
So that he can launch.
And I don't know how true that is. I don't even know. I've never seen it. That's what I'm saying. Which, granted, they probably wouldn't want you to see it, but
I've seen it referenced a lot.
I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it in movies and TV shows. They reference it. It's the suitcase that is handcuffed to his aide or a bodyguard or something like that. But I've never actually seen it. But then again, I wasn't really looking for it. I don't know. Maybe they did a good job just making it all incognito.
Incognito.
You think there's really a red phone in his office?
Yeah. Like there's a few different phones and special phones in the president's office.
Really?
Yeah.
What kind of phones? What do they do? Well, obviously.
Well, I know there's one that connects directly to the military base that's nearby.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the name of the base.
Langley, I think.
But it's the one where the Rangers are. Because they're the ones that would deploy to DC.
Oh, okay.
If like anything happened and they needed the army.
Uh-huh.
And there's like a phone that connects directly to that base.
Okay. That makes sense. Langley's in Virginia, so I mean I'm close.
Langley. Isn't that the
I think it's Air Force Base.
Yeah, it's an Air Force base.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Rangers are airborne.
Well, the Rangers are Army, though.
Yeah, they are. But there's a lot of... I mean, there's Marines on Army bases. There's Navy on Air Force bases. I mean, it's got a good mix, generally, from my very limited time and exposure on military bases.
Heard.
Like, I trained side by side with Marines.
What's the CIA place called?
What do you mean? Like CIA headquarters?
Yeah.
I think it's just called the Pentagon.
No. CIA is not in the Pentagon.
Is it not?
No.
Who's in the Pentagon?
The military.
Oh.
The Pentagon is like the military headquarters.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe it's just called CIA headquarters. I'll look it up.
For some reason, I was thinking that Langley was like the CIA headquarters.
It is. CIA headquarters is Langley, McLean, Virginia.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Words. Oh, man.
But yeah, the Army, like the Secretary of Defense and the Joint Chiefs, they work out of the Pentagon.
Heard.
So that is Army or military headquarters for all branches of the military.
So that's like where the DOD
yeah
is. That's their headquarters. Okay. I don't know. Like I said, I'm just some dude.
I'm just some guy.
I watch TV shows and I catch all these words. Just try to piece it together. That's why I don't know.
There was. I was reading a little article that was talking about like KGB surveillance on the United States, and the KGB had like satellite images of the Pentagon, and there's this little building at the center of the Pentagon that they thought was some kind of secret meeting place because people were always going there at the same time every day, and it was like a taco stand.
Yeah,
in there.
I've heard about that. It's like a little like a coffee shop where you get like snacks and drinks and stuff.
It was a taco. At the time, it was a taco stand.
Yeah, whatever. They were going out there for lunch.
Yeah, they were going out there for lunch.
And that is the definition of overthinking. It's like, these guys go out here every day at noon. What are they going to bomb next? Oh. Man, there's trippy stuff in the world. Just pick whatever you want to pay attention to and focus on that, I guess. I don't know. It's impossible to keep up with all of it.
Well, yeah. There's too much stuff going on in the world.
There's too much stuff. You can't care about everything and everyone. You can care about the people in your immediate vicinity. And if you make a big decision that's going to affect a community, then, maybe put a little more thought into that. That was one of the classes I took in college. It was like a globalization class.
Yeah.
But it was trying to make people think more globally. It's like your decisions have impacts, that butterfly effect into these big things. It's like, yeah, maybe sometimes, but for the most part, most people don't make those kinds of decisions that affect a huge number of people.
Yeah.
Most of the time. I mean, there's obvious exceptions. But, like this COVID thing, like if you're sick and you decide to go around and touch people, then yeah, you're making a huge decision for a lot of people. But, mostly people they're just going to work. They get done there, they go to a bar or, go to a pottery class or go hunting or, there's people just making little bitty decisions all the time. And then you got people that constantly make huge decisions which is, it also makes me uncomfortable. It's like I don't like a representative system, especially in today's age. It's like we have the ability, everybody has a voice because of the internet and smartphones and tablets and all this stuff we got. Like everybody's got a voice pretty much now, or at least has access to one, because libraries have, computers and stuff you can use. Excuse me. And universities have laptops and tablets and all this stuff that's just available. But for big nationwide decisions like that, things that we can vote on as a nation, it's like there's no reason that we shouldn't be able to. And I was watching that CGP Gray's video about the Electoral College and just pointing out all the flaws in it. And I've watched it before and thought about it several times, but I've just recently, I had a thought, and so I rewatched it again. And like, it's possible to win the presidential election because of the way the college is set up with only 22% or something of the vote, because it's winner take all. So I'm not gonna sit here and try to butcher that video, but I don't know, that
seems odd.
It is odd. That's why I pointed it out.
Well, I want to see the math on that.
It was basically because it's a winner-take-all system, you only need to win 51% of the vote.
Yeah, you need to win 51% of the state's electoral votes.
Of the state's electoral votes, right, because the popular vote doesn't matter, because the government doesn't give votes to people, it gives votes to states, which then turn in their votes. And the states don't have to follow the vote of the people in that state. Like, if everybody votes Republican and the representatives, one Democrat, then they can cast their electoral votes for Democrat.
Well, they can, but they never do.
They never do, but they can.
I don't think there's been a situation where that's actually happened.
Probably not, but it's possible.
I mean, then in the next state election cycle, those people have to answer to the citizens whose votes that they...
100%. It's career suicide. Yeah. But it's possible.
I mean, it's possible. Like, so it's possible that you could get 0% of the popular vote and still get elected president.
Yeah, I mean...
But in actual, doing it, no.
Right, but that wasn't the point. So, it was a way to actually win. If you win, the 4 main states or whatever, like Ohio, Florida, and 2 others that I can't think of right now. The swing states, Virginia, I think, is one of them. It's where the votes of everyone in that state are worth more than the votes of everyone in another state. Like, a vote in Virginia is worth 3 votes in Texas. Because of the way the Electoral College is, because every state gets 3 votes, and then they get votes depending on the... And that's what CGP Gray's video said, anyways, was you start with 3, and then they dole out more. Because he explained it like Ohio has 18 votes when they should really have 20. Based on their population, but 2 of their votes went to a state that didn't have the population to make it past 3 votes. So they got votes from other states, and that's where the base 3 comes from, and then it's distributed by population. The point was they have 3 votes to start with.
Point was it's based on population.
After the 3 votes.
Yeah, after the base votes.
Yeah, that was the plan anyways. My point was you could win the election with 22% of the votes.
Yeah, that was what my... thing was. I want to see the math on that.
Oh, I mean, we can look it up after we're done doing this.
Yeah.
But interestingly, the popular vote doesn't matter, because your personal vote,
the popular vote as a whole in the state does not matter.
Right.
The popular vote for each state individually matters.
Why?
Because that determines where the Electoral College votes go.
Okay.
So the national popular vote does not matter. But each state's individual popular vote does matter. Because that determines where their electoral votes go.
Okay, I got you. I got what you're saying.
But yes, on the national scale, the popular vote doesn't matter. It only matters on the state level.
Heard. Right, but that's how you make your campaign predictions and stuff. Do you think they're going to try
because the United States is a federation of states,
Right.
not people.
Makes sense. Do you think they're going to campaign?
Like they did in the last election cycle? No. Like traveling around to every different city? Not unless this stuff clears up fast.
Uh-huh.
There's more people infected right now than like ever. It's still the highest number. It's still growing.
Well, that was another thing, actually, on the Rogan podcast. They were talking about COVID, obviously, but they said the numbers are being blown up because hospitals are losing money if they don't report COVID cases.
I don't know about that.
COVID deaths. I don't know about it either, but it made sense, like, because the government is giving stimulus checks to hospitals based on how many COVID-related deaths happen. Excuse me, in their hospitals, but so they're bumping up the numbers. You know, you check this box, you get $8,000. You put them on a ventilator, they get $30,000 or whatever. You know, if you get hit by a bus and you tested positive for COVID, they call it a COVID death.
I think that sounds more like a...
That was a public health official saying that. Like, came on the news and said it.
Yeah, still. That sounds like people, like, don't check organ donor box or they'll just let you die to get your organs.
No, they won't.
Yeah,
That's so freaking
but people
stupid.
believe that stupid shit.
You're an idiot if you believe that.
Like, I
Don't check organ donor box because they'll let you die to harvest your organs. Like, no. Why would that even cross your mind?
I mean, sometimes you do gotta game the system a little bit to get stuff done in the system.
Yeah.
But I don't think hospitals are just arbitrarily inflating their COVID cases. If anything, I think we're still reporting less than there is actual cases because the testing limitations.
Yeah, probably.
But as of yesterday... Oh no, as of today,
May
as of
7th.
this morning, the CDC reports there are 1.2 million people with active cases of COVID.
So in one day it went up 25,000 cases?
It went up 25,000 one day.
That's crazy.
That's about average. It jumps usually between 20 and 30,000 new cases every day.
2,500 deaths a day?
Yeah.
That seems...
73,000 people have died.
Mm-hmm.
So far. We usually have a day by day.
I don't know.
Here it is. So yeah, new cases. On the 4th there was only 19,000 new cases.
Look at that.
But then the 5th was 22, and the 6th was 25. But yeah, at the end of April, we're getting like 30,000 new cases every day.
I don't know. That's so crazy. Montana and Colorado or not Colorado, that's Wyoming.
Yes, Montana, Wyoming.
They are
like the least.
They're holding
well,
out.
besides
And Alaska.
Alaska's less. American Samoa has 0 cases.
Look at there.
They locked down their border.
All 10 miles.
All 10 people that live there. I don't know how many people live in American Samoa, but it's not heavily populated. It's just a small island. Guam. Even Guam's infected.
Look at there. They have 5 deaths.
Marshall Islands. Nothing.
What? There was a country, I think it was North Korea, but like every time they had somebody test positive for COVID, they would just kill them.
North Korea did do that with
Burn
like
their
their first
bodies.
few cases. And I think they state that they have no active cases in their country right now.
How much do you trust that, though?
Not at all.
Not at all. I was talking to Dan last night. He was talking about maybe China's getting ready to go to war with everybody because everybody's like demanding reparations from China for lying about their numbers and spreading this shit. Sorry.
Man, there's over 300,000 people in New York State.
Mm-hmm. New York and California are the worst.
58,000 in California.
Yeah.
Which is the next highest. Oh no, Illinois has more.
68.
68,000.
Wow.
So
I've recently learned they have 20 electoral votes.
Oh, Massachusetts has 72. So Massachusetts.
There you go.
Is the second highest state with 72. The first one is New York with 318.
God, that's a
Thousand.
lot of people.
That's, yeah.
That's 250,000 plus. But
At least
New York City got
Arkansas
10
sitting
million
kind of
people
low.
in it.
There's only 3,500 people.
Yeah.
With it, so that's good.
It's so crazy. But look at it's interesting where we're looking at a map right now of COVID case densities. I guess that's how would we describe this.
Yeah.
But anyways, the states are color coded, and like, why is Washington red? And that's 10,000 to 20,000 cases, but Idaho, literally right next to it, is orange, which is 1,000 to 5,000.
I think it had a lot to do with Seattle, because Seattle was a big one.
Oh, duh! Seattle's in Washington.
Yeah.
And it's a huge port city.
Yeah, it's a huge port city. And, you know, yeah, the lower numbers are here in like the Midwest, where the population is smaller and more spread out.
Yeah.
So
See, all through the center of the country, but those aren't heavily populated states either, like New Mexico, Nevada.
well, yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, there's
Utah.
less people and they're more spread out, so that's why there's less cases in this area.
That makes sense. Yeah, Wyoming and Montana are probably the least populated states in the country.
And that's why there's very few
So
people.
I've driven through both of them, and there is nothing there. There's not even a tree to break up the monotony. It's flat. Well, the western side has mountains, but most of Wyoming is flat and cold and windy and yellow. And it sucks. I think their biggest city has like 10,000 people in it.
I guess we're going to end it there, man.
Oh.
And if you, we'll leave you on that note that Wyoming sucks.
Just sitting here talking shit about Wyoming. You know, while I'm at it, fuck Montana too. I hate that state. I hope it breaks off and goes to Canada.
All right. Remember to smash that like button if you liked the video.
Hit the
Subscribe. Hit the mystery bell.
Thanks for letting us rant to you. Hopefully you guys had a good time. Enjoy. If you get a chance, check out that Elon Musk podcast. It's really worth a watch. And if you've never heard of CGP Grey, then also we'd highly recommend that. He's got some really interesting videos about different topics. But again, thanks for listening. We appreciate you guys. Like, comment, share.
Important links are down below. We'll see you guys next week.
Stay safe.